The most up-to-date version of Big Beast Hunter. If you're looking for it, you found it right here. We're just jumping straight into the game here. I'm going to talk about the deck as I'm playing it. You can actually see we're up against Warlock here. I haven't seen a Warlock in a really long time. None of these cards are a keep, by the way, so we're going to mulligan all of them. But this ought to be pretty interesting. So cards that I would look for and would want to keep here. Dunbaldar Bunker. I would likely keep the Weapon and Wild Spirits. I would also definitely keep Vandar Stormpike, and then of course you're always going to want to keep the hero card, likely in every Hunter deck. Unfortunately, you can see here, the deck is very, very top-heavy. We don't have a whole lot of early games, so this is kind of what you'd expect to be a standard start. It looks like we're going to be up against potentially a very fast Imp Warlock deck here, so actually could be a bad matchup for the deck. You don't really see Imp Warlock all that much. And I'm just going to go ahead and play the Freezing Trap here. If we bounce this back off the board, that's going to be just fine for us. So with the deck, we're trying to buy time in the early game until we get to some of our more powerful stuff to do. And by the time we can start dropping like even Pet Collectors on 5 or an Honorable Kill with the Spring Trap on 4, it's going to go a long way towards being able to get us the win here. Also important to note the fact that the Librarian number 1 is off the board, so it's not damaging us. And then number 2, that it didn't die, which means it's not going to be infusing any of the infused cards that our opponent may have in their hand, is going to be a pretty important aspect. And then again, you see here the top deck, it's a playable card, so we play it. And they actually coined and spent 3 mana to put this back out. I would consider that to be a questionable play. I'm really not sure that that's correct, but it's what our opponent has chosen to do. Likely they have no idea what we're playing. They're probably thinking to themselves, oh wow, a Hunter that's not Shockspitter. I haven't seen that before. And then you can see here, we're just going to go ahead and spring the trap, take our Honor Kill. And you can see we did hit an Explosive Trap, so all of these minions are going to be cleared. We also have an Ice Trap as well as the Zombies that is up. Still one kept card from our opponents. It could be the Mischievous Imp. Could also be Rafam. Both of which are going to be bad news. Ice Trap prevents the card draw, which is good. And I don't know, I guess Location card would be pretty good. And we see the Flame Imp. I assume this means they're choosing not to attack here. So the Imp dies. So this tells me that likely our opponent has some type of buff card. If it's the pure imps, they probably have a Shady Bartender in hand. And if these get buffed, then they're not going to die to the Explosive Trap that we have on the board. We really only have one play here. That's to play the Pet Collector. And you can see we actually hit the Rat King here. So we're just going to clear up as much of this stuff as we possibly can. Pass it back to our opponent. So we're going to have a Mountain Bear coming down soon. If we get to turn 9 with Ikman, assuming we still have a lot of beasts left in our deck, hopefully that'll be enough to close it out. And next turn, it looks like it's just going to be a Pet Collector, barring some type of really good top deck. There's the Shady Bartender that we were expecting. And our opponent's going to send all their damage face. Probably the best play for them, just ignore our board. We hit a Zombies, so the second Pet Collector is guaranteed to draw an imported Tarantula here. So it's going to put 2 minions on the board, but nothing with Rush. Only other option would be Zombies and Hero Power. That's not going to do it. And at this point, it feels like we're only really going to be afraid of, I guess, Rafam? I'm just going to take some value trades here. If the Rafam comes down, I do believe that the Bartender does not get buffed because it's not an imp. But we'll see what happens if they have the Rafam and if it's infused. If they don't have it, I think we've actually just wrapped the game up already right here. If they do have it, it could be a bit of a struggle, but we'll be able to remove some stuff with the 1/1 Poisonous Spotters that we're going to have off of the Tarantula here. And even if they just make one really big minion and push face, they don't have a whole lot of burst damage from hand with this particular deck. We're going to clear up as much of their board as we can. But the imported Tarantula here, the 1/1 Poisonous Spotters, is going to do a lot of work as far as helping us clear some things off. And you can see here, our opponent chooses to just hit us in the face. And the Grimoire of Sacrifice does clear up quite a bit, but again, we do get our 1/1 Poisonous Spotters. We're still at 11. We're going to be dropping a Mountain Bear. And actually, we top deck the Hero card, so Hero card is probably not going to be the play this turn. And we just want to try to control the board here, so I'm clearing this off. Question is, do we go Mountain Bear or do we go Tavish? I'm going to get the Mountain Bear down, and it may actually just be Tavish next turn, and then of course turn 9 is going to be the Wing Commander Ikman. We do still have Hydralodon, another Mountain Bear, King Crush. And our opponent actually reloading with cards here, so that's good for them, bad for us. So we're likely going to be focused still on just removing minions from our opponent's side of the board. We want to make sure that they don't put themselves in a position to be able to kill us. And unfortunately, we see that King Crush is going to be the top deck, so we are going to have potentially a lot of damage going face next turn. So if we go all face, that's 9, 17. Gonna go ahead and get the Tavish down. I guess out of these, what do we really want? Freezing Trap? Freezing Trap is probably the best to try to protect one of our minions. And Emergency Maneuvers, assuming that the Mountain Bear actually dies, which it's almost going to have to, it's going to get us 2 Mountain Bears back, which is going to be good. And then the rest of the mana goes on a Hero Power. You can see it's Huffer here. And I'm extremely tempted to ship this damage face. Very tempted. But I'm going to go face here, and I'm actually going to take trades for the minions, so this might look a little bit weird. Ideally, you want to go face as much as possible. We would like to be able to set up lethal. But if our opponent has second copy Grimoire of Sacrifice, then you could see that our Pet Collector and Huffer would both die. I believe Pet Collector is what we would get back as far as the Emergency Maneuvers minion, and we really want these taunts. So I threw away the other minions to try to guarantee that Mountain Bear is going to be the minion that dies. Just to be able to get those taunts back to be able to protect our face. And then we're actually hoping that they hit some of the 3/3 imps here, because I think I would like to play Wing Commander Ikman. Not very many... Oh, yeah. And you can see here, they do get the Grimoire of Sacrifice. This pops. And then you can see here exactly what I wanted. We get 2 Mountain Bears that are going to come back online. So that's going to be really good for us here. Happy to see that. That's exactly the way I wanted that turn to go. And we've got our Mountain Bear. So at this point, we just won the game. I believe it was going to be King Crush face, everything going face, but you can see there, we win the game. But keeping in mind, you know, we had to manipulate the board in a certain way. I threw away minions, intentionally not damaging face, which in a lot of circumstances would be questionable. It's not a play that you would recommend on a general basis, but it was correct here for exactly the reasons that I talked about, making sure that we got those taunts back because we know that our opponent is playing a board-based aggro deck in this situation. Coming back into another game, we've got Priest. Have to assume that it's going to be a Shadow Priest. We don't want any of these, so we're going to look for our preferred options, if I can speak properly here. And again, you can see we're a little bit slow, likely just going to trade the Tarantula on turn 1. And it is going to be some form of Shadow Priest, likely aggro would be my guess. And next turn, we're just going to get down to zombies, which is going to be good. Might help us be able to keep the board clear in the early game, which would certainly be good for us. Dunbaldar Bunker is an interesting top deck, though. So our opponent can potentially go like Coin, Undying Allies, Haunting Nightmare is going to be their strongest play. I've found that they always have it. If I play the zombies and they play their minion, 3 zombies will kill their 4/3, and then I have 1 left over to kill the revived version. And then that would allow us next turn to be able to play the Dunbaldar Bunker. Question is that going to be better than just playing Bunker now and then a 1-mana secret and a zombies next turn? I think we actually just Bunker here. it's a close call. We hit a freezing trap, which is really good. So now if they go coin Undying Allies and one of their undead minions, we're actually just going to be able to bounce this back. You can see they actually didn't have the Undying Allies, so we get up a freezing trap, and we're going to get down to zombies. So this gets bounced back to our opponent's hand, and we're going to kill whatever 3 health minion they're going to be playing this turn. So it ended up working out pretty well for us here. If you're ever curious, by the way, about how I get these games, I just queue up consecutive games when I go to make one of these videos. You can check and make sure that I'm telling the truth here just based on my rank. You can see this was the rank we finished the last game at. And the way I look at it is, if I win, I win. If I lose, I lose. I'm not going to cherry pick games for this type of a video. I'm just trying to show you the deck and kind of what an organic ladder experience would look like. I don't want to make it look like I'm better at the game than I really am, or that this deck is a great deck and you should definitely be playing it. Nothing like that. Just, hey, I'm queuing up and this is what happened, and then you can draw your own conclusions from there. Also, keep in mind, if you don't have some of these cards, I would recommend don't craft. Some of them are going to rotate very, very soon, and you don't necessarily want to waste your dust, so to speak. So, for example, like the hero card rotates, don't craft it unless you really want it for a while. And you can see here, we did kill one minion that came down, and then the other one just gets bounced back to their hand. So again, it's all just good news for us. This next turn gets interesting. I think we actually want to equip the weapon here, and potentially, you know, we can hit one of the beasts. Still a decent amount of beasts in our deck. This allows us to have a weapon next turn, and then we can put into play the explosive trap. It's not really good in this matchup, but it's going to make our opponent think twice about what they're going to be playing. And it puts some damage on the board, so that'll be good. You can see here we hit the Mountain Bear. We just take the Mountain Bear, and I'm going to spend mana with the trap. So Mountain Bear is going to be discounted by 2. That means it's going to be playable next turn. We're going to have a 5/6 on the board. We've got an additional freezing trap. We have an ice trap in hand. And then we know what's on the bottom. We have our weapon. And so we definitely just want to get down the Mountain Bear. And I think what I want to do is take a trade into the 4/3. So I'm just going to try to play a little bit towards the longer game in this particular matchup. If I put down the Mountain Bear, I'm trying to think if I want to trade for one of these or go face. I'm pretty sure that I want to trade here. Just get down to Mountain Bear, and I'm going to trade for the one that is not an undead. And for next turn, we either have another Harpoon Gun or Wild Spirits, and the question is which is better. So they're all cost 3. And then we would be able to play Ice Trap as well as Freezing Trap next turn, or potentially Zombies and a Freezing Trap. I think from these options, if I don't take the Harpoon Gun, I have no more Dredge. I won't be able to get to the bottom of the deck. But I almost feel like maybe the minions are going to be better in this situation. No, we're going to take the Harpoon Gun. And then this goes face.
I've got plenty of mojo to go around.
And so, unfortunately here, our opponent had the best possible answer to us having a Mountain Bear. I've noticed they always have the Najak Hexen as well. If I'd gotten the zombies down on that last turn, of course, that would have died. I have no way to be able to interact with this now.
If you dishonor me, you dishonor
which is really just not good. If I play the Freezing Trap, they can even potentially just bounce the Freezing Trap back into their hand here. So, unfortunately, it felt like we were really in command of this particular matchup, and now we're just not. And we kind of don't have a choice. We're going to have to play the Freezing Trap, and I guess we play a Zombies, and then we're going to pass. But just this one card, this one play from our opponent, likely we have lost this game at this point. I'm going to play it out for a couple of more turns, but I really don't think we win from this position. And the Freezing Trap bounces the Najak Hexen, which means that they're going to be able to do this again whenever they need to. And you can see here, you know, our opponent emoting us. It's a bit unfortunate. The one of Najak Hexen, they had it in the top couple of cards of their deck. So extremely unfortunate, but I am just going to go ahead and bow out of this game. It's lost. There's no use crying over our opponent having the Najak Hexen. And unfortunately, they just win this. If they don't have it, I think we very easily win this game in this particular matchup. by just the Najak on the Mountain Bear. It's just not happening this game. So that's actually going to do it for the video. You're going to see me concede here. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Uncorrupt, and good luck out on the ladder.